Buying vintage lenses can quickly become a black hole in your budget. Whether you're new to the world of vintage lenses or a passionate collector, these tips will help you avoid spending a fortune on vintage glass. Fungus can grow on glass and degrade image quality. It's essential to inspect the lens for any sign of fungus before making a purchase. Most buyers will refuse to buy a lens because it has some visible fungus inside. The lens loses a lot of its value. But if the vintage lens has no internal motors, it can easily be cleaned and the fungus removed. I made several videos on the subject that you can check here. Cleaning a lens requires few tools and cheap chemicals. If you dream of an expensive vintage lens and you can find one for very cheap because of a fungus infection, take the chance and clean it yourself. You could end up with a fantastic lens that costs you a fraction of its value. I did this countless times and saved a ton of money. It's essential to recognize that there are risks involved. As in rare cases, the fungus left a mark on the coating of the lens, and some less manual person could break the glass if not careful during cleaning. So you need to take that into consideration. Vintage lenses often come with unique mounts, so you might need adapters to use them with your modern camera. Many vintage lens collectors only buy lenses that they can adapt quickly. A lot of cheap lenses have weird mounts and hard to find adapters, and this impacts their value. But the good news is that you can find those weird adapters for cheap on 3D printing sites or sold on eBay as small handmade batches. And once you have those weird adapters, it opens doors to a lot of new vintage lens options. Vintage Canon FDs, vintage Zeiss or vintage Leica lenses can be fantastic. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that only the expensive ones are worth buying. Some lesser-known vintage lenses offer excellent image quality and character at a fraction of the price. Don't ignore the hidden gems in the vintage lens world. You might miss out on some incredible deals. My channel is filled with cheap vintage lens reviews that are as good and sometimes better than the big players. Many vintage lens collectors hold out for lenses that come in pristine, in-box condition. However, remember that cosmetic imperfections like dust or minor scratches on the lens barrel can often be cleaned or repaired. Don't let the quest for perfection stop you from enjoying the charm of vintage glass. Sometimes a small cleaning can turn a good deal into a great one. Stock apertures can limit your creative control over your photography. Always test the aperture ring to ensure it moves smoothly. If the aperture is stuck, many buyers will not care about the lens. But in many cases, the aperture mechanism can be fixed with just a few dabs of lighter fluid, or even some heat. I bought this lens for cheap with a stock aperture. After removing the rear lens, I dabbed lighter fluid on the blades, and after just 1 minute, it worked like new. If you can get the stock lens for very cheap, I will not hesitate and take the risk to try to fix it yourself. One more mistake to avoid is exclusively buying vintage lenses online and overlooking the potential treasures you might find at yard sales, flea markets, or local antique shops. While online marketplaces offers a lot of options, you might miss out on fantastic deals, unique finds, and the opportunity to inspect the lens in person. Don't underestimate the thrill of stumbling upon a hidden gem at a local yard sale or shop. It can be a cost-effective way to expand your vintage lens collection. So keep your eyes open both online and offline for the best lens buying experience. G.A.S, or Gear Acquisition Syndrome, is a term used to describe the constant urge to acquire new photography gear. G.A.S often leads to impulsive buying decisions. Without careful consideration of your actual needs, you may end up with gear that doesn't enhance your photography but still drains your wallet. G.A.S can lead to missing out on the full potential of your existing gear. You may not explore all the creative possibilities of your current equipment before moving on to the next purchase. It's essential to adopt a more thoughtful and strategic approach to gear acquisition. In order to be a good photographer, you need some skills, knowledge, and creativity. Owning expensive gear doesn't replace the experience of practicing your craft. A camera lens is merely a tool to capture the vision and creativity of the photographer. Many great photographers have created amazing work using affordable camera equipment. The idea that only expensive gear can lead to good photography can be discouraging for photographers on a budget. Expensive camera lenses are not a substitute for the skills, creativity, and knowledge that makes a photographer great. While it's tempting to jump on what seems like a great deal, it's essential to do some research. Buying a vintage lens just because it's inexpensive without looking at its condition, compatibility, and image quality can lead to disappointment. If you found it for really cheap, remember that you will sell it for even cheaper. It may end up costing you more in the long run. Instead of accumulating a large amount of lenses, it's often wiser to focus on acquiring a smaller, curated selection of high-quality lenses that are well-suited to your photographic style and needs. High-quality lenses tend to hold their value well over time. Owning a smaller selection of top-quality lenses simplifies your gear choices and reduces decision fatigue when you're shooting. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more weird lens content. As always, feel free to share your vintage lens buying experiences or tips in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and happy lens hunting!